10 things you didn't know about Lewis Hamilton. If there's one thing we all know about Lewis Hamilton, it's that he's great. He's raced across 3 decades of Formula One, taking a record equaling 7 world championships, triple-figure pole positions, and a knighthood to boot. Here are 10 things you might not have known about the champion from Stevenage. If you are new here, subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell to stay tuned to the channel. Hamilton was a beast at remote-control car racing. It was clear from very early on that Lewis Hamilton had a natural talent in abundance. When he was 6 years old, Lewis acquired a remote-controlled car from his father, Anthony. Within the year, Hamilton finished second in a national race against adults with an electric car. He also won the best newcomer for the petrol class, which is quite a feat, considering he was the youngest competitor by at least 15 years. Even as a 7-time Formula One world champion, Hamilton often reminisces on these times and the pride they brought him. No doubt it was a feeling he would chase time and time again as he flourished through the racing series. Hamilton told McLaren's boss to sign him when he was just 13. Perhaps it was his confidence at such a tender age that prompted a younger Lewis Hamilton to make a career-defining move. Barely a teenager, Lewis approached Ron Dennis, team boss at McLaren Formula One team. These 2 meetings would define not only Lewis's life, but the future of the sport itself. Dennis himself recalled the encounters. He asked for my autograph. 2 years later, he came back, asked for my autograph again. There was a brightness and determination on my face. At that time, I was a bit bored, that's the truth. I told him I would sponsor his future seasons, but he had to do everything I say. The first thing was, to his disappointment, that he was going back to school. It would be about a decade later before Hamilton would make his debut in Formula One with McLaren. A 3rd place in Australia on debut was followed by 4 second-place finishes before his debut win in Canada. It's safe to say Dennis's gamble on the youngster paid off. Hamilton was in the same school year as Ashley Young. When Hamilton did go back to school, he was in good company. Born in Stevenage, Hertfordshire, Hamilton attended the John Henry Newman School in the town. One of his classmates just happened to be footballer Ashley Young, so it's safe to assume he was in fine sporting company from the get-on. Lewis used to be superstitious, but left ridiculous routines behind. Many drivers will have lucky charms or routines to aid them on race day. Michael Schumacher preferred to drive with odd numbers. Sebastian Vettel lodges lucky silver in his race boots. Stefano Modena hated the right side of the garage. Lewis Hamilton also had his fair share of beliefs. He once told James Corden and Tom Brady, "I must have been 10 or 11, and my brother gave me this conker. It was my lucky conker, so I put it in my suit. I don't know what happened to the damn thing. It came out of my trouser leg and I lost this damn conker. Then I had this lucky pair of underwear, and my mum shrunk them." He continued that, "It wasn't until I was 17 or 18, and I had a sequence of how to get dressed, right sock first, then left sock. I got in the car in Germany, about to start the race, and my helmet wasn't done up. So I'd missed one of the elements of these steps I had made crucial to getting the job done. I remember I crashed several seconds later, and after that I thought, this is ridiculous, it's all in my head. So I got rid of all that. We create those things in our minds." Hamilton used to have a Senna-inspired yellow helmet until he ditched it. After victories throughout his junior years, it was hard to miss Hamilton on track, all thanks to his striking helmet design. He used a bright yellow helmet design for his first seasons in Formula One in homage to his hero, Ayrton Senna. Of course, this yellow is associated with the driver's Brazilian nationality, but designer Sid Mosca described the yellow base as symbolizing youth, with a green stripe symbolizing aggression and a blue stripe symbolizing movement. For years, Hamilton used a yellow helmet with blue and green lines, with the addition of a red line. In 2014, Hamilton began to move towards more red on his helmet, but maintained yellow elements. However, there was a drastic change in 2020. In support of the Black Lives Matter movement, Hamilton donned a black helmet with purple accents. This was a shift from 2 decades of using yellow and red art on his lid, and such a poignant way to make a statement. Lewis Hamilton dominated the junior series. In modern open-wheel racing, drivers can expect tough competition when progressing through the series. F3 and F2 are fiercely competitive as young drivers fight for the attention of team bosses on the Formula One grid. For Hamilton, he simply blew the field away. In 2005, he took the Formula 3 Euro Series with poise. Of the 20 races, 15 were won by the Brit, who also took 13 pole positions and wrapped up the championship against rivals including Adrian Sutil, Lucas di Grassi and Sebastian Vettel by 78 points. Taking the step up to GP2 the following year, Hamilton continued his momentum. With his nearest rivals including Nelson Piquet Jr. and Timo Glock, Hamilton won the series at the first time of asking, albeit with a finer margin of 12 points. These performances were enough to convince Ron Dennis to elevate Hamilton to a Formula One seat. In his first season of Premier Class racing, Hamilton matched his World Championship teammate Fernando Alonso for points, but both came a point short of Kimi Räikkönen's championship-clinching total of 101. Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton used to be great friends. Although from distinct backgrounds, both drivers managed to work out a healthy relationship. Hamilton grew up in Stevenage as his dad worked multiple jobs to fund his career. Rosberg grew up in luxurious Monaco, the son of the title-winning Keke Rosberg. Rosberg and Hamilton became mates growing through junior racing. In 2000, the pair were teammates racing for the karting team Mercedes-Benz McLaren. Fellow competitor Robert Kubica recalled how they were competitive on every level. They would even have races to eat pizza, always eating 2 at a time. Eventually, the pair's careers diverged. Rosberg made his debut for Williams in 2006, with Hamilton following the next year. The Brit had a stellar debut season, finishing a point behind world champion Kimi Räikkönen. But in the following season, Rosberg's maiden podium came during an Australian Grand Prix. Hamilton had won. The pair famously embraced in the cool-down room. As the seasons went on, they became teammates once again at Mercedes. However, it was not amicable, with several squabbles leading to Hamilton stating in an interview, "We are not friends." Hamilton works to improve representation of black people in motorsport. As Formula One continues to take the knee before the race and pause to recognize the "We race as one" message, there has been criticism that more action is needed, rather than symbolism. Lewis Hamilton has taken it into his own hands. In June 2020, he launched the Hamilton Commission, which has the mission of improving the representation of black people in UK motorsport. When launching the commission, Lewis said, "Despite my success in the sport, the institutional barriers that have kept F1 highly exclusive persist. It is not enough to point to me or a single new black hire as a meaningful example of progress. Thousands of people are employed across this industry, and that group needs to be more representative of society." Lewis Hamilton is the fourth Formula One driver to be knighted, having equaled Michael Schumacher's record of 7 world titles. Lewis Hamilton was bestowed a knighthood in the 2021 New Year's honours by the Queen. He follows in the footsteps of Sir Jack Brabham, Sir Sterling Moss, Sir Jackie Stewart, and perhaps it was certainly high time that Hamilton became Sir Lewis Hamilton. After his devastating loss at the controversial Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, where he was on his way to clinch his record-breaking title, he was knighted and is now Sir Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton appeared in Christina Aguilera's record. Anyone who follows Lewis on Instagram will know he's a budding musician. He regularly posts clips of his recording setup, or showcasing his progress on the piano or guitar. But it's Lewis's vocals that have already secured him a spot on a record. Hamilton appeared under the pseudonym Zenda on the track Pipe from Christina Aguilera's 2018 record, Liberation. He raps a short verse on the track, which he revealed on Instagram that he wrote and recorded in 2 hours. Hamilton said, "I had this incredibly beautiful and talented person reach out to me a while back, asking me to be on her album. I was so blown away and I jumped at the opportunity. I had 2 hours to write the short verse and record. The goal was to have the music come out under a different name, so that you could hear the music first and later know it was from me, but it didn't work out the way I'd planned." Perhaps we can expect to hear more from Hamilton in the future. If you enjoyed this video, like and share the video with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that notifications bell to stay tuned.